According to spoilers for the upcoming 2 weeks of The Bold and the Beautiful, July 28th to August 8th, Ridge Forrester will experience a true love epiphany before Brooke Logan experiences some water horror. There will be a lot going on the CBS soap opera since Nick Marone's dream will also be crushed. Taylor Hayes hopes to have communicated to Brooke that Ridge is taken during the week of July 28th to August 1st. Taylor will be worried about the likelihood of Brooke and Ridge getting back together during this trip to Italy. Despite all of her blustering, Ridge and Brooke will undoubtedly experience some moments of bonding as a result of Eric Forrester's role as matchmaker. The future of Brooke and Ridge will undoubtedly be influenced by the charm of Naples. A fashion show will also take place, but Nick's priorities will be pleasure over business. Nick will plot a little and try his hardest to get Brooke out of Ridge's sphere of influence. When they go to Capri, Brooke will wind up on a boat with Ridge, but Nick will look for a boat too and persuade Brooke to sail with him next. Brooke will be caught off guard when Nick pops the question, but there are still more surprises in store. This could be when it goes down since according to B&B teasers, Brooke is going to have an accident. Will Brooke tumble from the boat while Ridge looks on in jealousy? In any case, Ridge will play rescuer when he sees a risky circumstance. Ridge should have a revelation about genuine love around the week of August 4th to 8th, since it appears that he will jump into the sea after Brooke and save her. When it comes to the lady Ridge is genuinely meant to be with, everything will fall into place. Ridge will eventually understand everything Eric has been saying, and come to the conclusion that Brooke is the one for him. When Brooke returns to Ridge, Nick will have to lick his wounds because his dream of getting back together with Brooke won't work out. But since Taylor truly believed Ridge would be by her side forever this time, she will be the one most devastated. Taylor seemed ready to snap at Ridge and question how he could have done this to her. John Finnegan will continue to examine Grace Buckingham's activities in relation to Liam Spencer and his incredible recovery after all of the Italy episodes. Finn is the best person to reveal Grace as a fraudster who allegedly fabricated the tumor and experimental process in order to obtain money. Given that Steffy Forrester would be temporarily departing Los Angeles with the children, Finn will benefit from devoting himself to this study. According to spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful, there will be shocking revelations and increasing tension over the course of the next 2 weeks. Keep checking back for more on all the shocks. According to Monday, July 28th spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful, Eric Forrester instructs Nick Marone to back off, and Brooke Logan will respond to Taylor Hayes' warning. Taylor chose to approach Brooke by herself when she overheard her making again another move for Ridge Forrester. Taylor then made it very apparent that Ridge was unavailable, and insisted that nothing would stand in their way. We should see Brooke's response to Taylor's outburst on Monday's B&B program. Taylor claims that she and Ridge have a bright future, but Brooke won't be so certain. Brooke is likely to irritate Taylor by highlighting her past relationship with Ridge and how frequently they have reconnected. Taylor might become even more agitated after Brooke makes the point that Italy can be a magical place. Regarding Eric, he will speak with Nick in a heated manner. Eric doesn't want Nick to make things worse since he wants Brooke and Ridge to have a happy ending. Ridge would most likely inform Nick that his own Brooke reunion is unlikely to occur now that Eric has been pressuring him to get back together with Brooke before it's too late. Regarding the future of Brooke and Ridge, Eric will continue to believe in the force of fate. For this reason, Eric will try to dissuade Nick from pursuing Brooke. Nick won't be eager to follow Eric's suggestion because he doesn't let other people tell him what to do. Instead, once the Italy trip starts, Nick will make some unexpected decisions to show that he is Brooke's best man. Even though Nick intends to persuade Brooke to be married, a few unexpected events may disrupt his next plan. As terrible news breaks, Nick will need to provide some updates along the road. Keep an eye out for all the highs and lows of Brooke and Ridge's reunion tale, because spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful indicate that they are truly endgame. Like 1,000 little mirrors, the sunlight's brilliant shine danced across the Pacific surface. Brooke had agreed, though with a hint of nervousness concealed beneath her grin, that it was the ideal day to sail. Her honey blonde hair was catching the sea breeze as she stood on the yacht's deck with her arms folded across her chest. Nick was down below getting ready. In a deceptive way, the ocean was serene and calm. A strange heaviness settled in Brooke's chest as her gaze shifted to the horizon, where the water appeared to melt into the sky. She was unable to articulate why she felt uneasy. She had assured herself that everything would work out, that her early anxieties about drowning and being stranded underwater were only relics of past experiences that she had long since transcended. But the panic awakened like a sleeping beast when the boat rocked softly beneath her. Everything returned, including the creaking of the mast, the unending expanse of ocean, and the scent of salt. For a moment she gasped. She tried to slow her heart by closing her eyes. "You're all right," she muttered. "It's only water." Nick showed up smiling and carrying 2 champagne glasses. "To fresh starts," he remarked, offering her one. Brooke forced a smile as he took it with a shaking hand. She didn't want to let him down. This trip, which he had carefully planned, was an opportunity for them to reconnect. For him, for them, Brooke had hoped it would make her feel something again. But now she felt more alone than ever on this wide, unforgiving blue. The yacht lurched just as Nick moved in to kiss her. Brooke's glass broke on the deck after slipping out of her hands. She stumbled back, the movement abrupt and painful. Nick stepped in her direction and said, Hey, it's okay. Just a wave." However, it went beyond that. It was the sensation of instability and insecurity. Her knees gave way a little. With her eyes wide and her breath coming in short spurts, she grasped the railing. She felt as though the water below was calling to her, not in a melodic way but as a danger. Chilly, unrelenting. Nick put his hand on her arm. "Brooke? You're trembling." "I must get off," she muttered. "We're not close to the coast." "I don't care. I can't do this, Nick." In her rush to get below deck, she turned and ran down the steps, almost tripping to a grounded enclosed area. Nick trailed behind, his expression filled with worry. Her fists pressed into her face as she fell onto the built-in sofa. Now the memories tore at her. The unsuccessful swimming lessons, the water rising over her head, the submerged silence, the desperate flailing. She believed she had buried it. She believed that fear could be overcome by love. However, she was mistaken. Nick crouched down in front of her and brushed her hair off her sweaty brow. "Talk to me, Brooke. What is going on? I believed I could pull this off. For you. For us," she uttered, her voice trembling. "But Nick, I'm afraid. Water has always frightened me, and it feels like I'm having trouble breathing out here." His expression dropped, not with rage but with heartache. Gently, he took her hand and held it between his. "What kept you from telling me?" "Because you're a sea lover. This boat was your dream," you remarked. "That wasn't anything I wanted to ruin." He let out a deep exhale. "I wish for your happiness. Not only a fiction I made up without you." Brooke stared at him, her eyes threatening to well up with tears. "I apologize. The woman you pictured is what I wanted to be. However, I'm not. Furthermore, I doubt that I ever was." For a brief instant, the void between them was occupied by everything they had chosen to keep silent about and everything they had attempted to deny. Nick kissed her hand and nodded softly. "Let's return," he murmured. "We'll look for another dream. One that is ours together." Ridge was pacing the terrace of his Malibu estate back on shore, his mind racing. The warmth of her voice, the curve of her smile, and the way she turned even quiet into a melody had been on his mind constantly. Now she was with Nick on that yacht. Most likely they're laughing. Most likely without the baggage Ridge had always brought to their relationship. It was over, he'd assured himself 100 times. That it was the correct thing to let her leave. However, he was no longer able to deceive himself. He poured himself a glass of scotch, sipped it slowly, and gazed out at the ocean. Ironically, Brooke's revelation had taken place against the backdrop of the very thing he feared. He reflected on their arguments and the occasions when he had not been there for her appropriately. But until she hadn't, she had always returned. Ridge was aware that she was gone, or so he believed, until the knock on the door reached him. She was there when he opened it, shaken, pale but genuine. "Brooke." Her voice was hardly audible above a whisper when she replied, "I needed to see you." Silently, he moved aside to allow her entry. Arms encircling her like armor, she moved past him and stood in the center of the living room. "Nick and I were together," she claimed. "On his vessel. Maybe I could feel anything again, I thought. But terror was all I could feel." Ridge took a gulp. "Are you all right?" "I'll be," she declared. "However, I saw something outside that I should have noticed sooner. He remained motionless. Didn't dare to hope. I always loved you, Ridge, she remarked. I tried to move on, but I kept returning to you no matter how far I went. In my dreams and in my heart. You were always the one. His heart pounded slowly and painfully in his chest. His hands were outstretched as he stepped toward her. Brooke, I'm not sure if we can make everything right. However, I am aware that pretending to be someone else isn't love, whether it's for Nick or anybody else. Not like ours. Not like ours. Holding her close as though she could disappear once more, he drew her into his arms. I also never stopped loving you. I simply didn't know how to defend us any longer. With her voice muffled against his chest, she murmured, Then let's figure it out together. Nick, meantime, was by himself on the yacht's deck, gazing out at the marina. The water was turning deep orange and gold as the sun started to set, but he only experienced emptiness. He had seen her leave with a sense of finality rather than anger or resentment. She had been honest when he asked for it. At his feet now were the fragments of all he had dreamed of and envisaged. He had thought that he might be her future, that her history with Ridge would eventually disappear. However, it hadn't, and it wouldn't. Now he noticed that, no matter how hard he tried, he was unable to match the depth of her love for Ridge. And perhaps the cruelest truth of all was that, if it wasn't theirs, love wasn't always enough. With his hair tousled by the sea breeze, Nick eased himself onto the bench. Unopened, the champagne remained on the table. He took the glass in his hands and gazed at it. He muttered, "To endings," and put it down once more. He refused to pursue her. Not right now. Not when he could plainly see that Ridge had always been at the center of her heart. And as much as it hurt, he couldn't resent her for it. She made an attempt. She had desired to be in love with him, and perhaps she had in a tiny way. However, your soul wasn't altered by love. It wasn't the kind of love that returned a woman after years of uncertainty, suffering, and terror simply to declare, "I choose you." Ridge was entitled to that affection. Brooke was back at Ridge's house, sitting with her legs tucked beneath her by the fireplace. Ridge sat next to her, keeping his distance and remaining silent. A tenuous but genuine peace existed between them. Her eyes searched as she gazed at him. "Do you think this time we can make it work?" He didn't respond right away. His hand brushed hers as he turned to face her. "I believe that both of us have mastered the art of losing one another. Perhaps we need to learn how to wait." Brooke gave a quiet smile. "That would be nice." The waves outside rolled in a steady rhythm against the beach. Not frightful. Not repressive. Merely a portion of the global rhythm. And Brooke wasn't scared for the first time in a long time. She felt noticed. She experienced love. She also had a sense of home.